Hare Krishna. Thank you for joining. Let's make a start with the Radha Madhav. Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Jayo Gira Varidhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Jayo Gira Varidhari Yashodanandana Vraj Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vraj Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Om Gyan Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobishtham Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Svayamrupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uttapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Saganara Gunatam Vitam Tam Satyam Sadhvetam Savadutam Krishna Setam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shiva Shakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kant Radha Kant Namastute Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavan Eshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranmami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatu Vrihascha Kirpa Sindhevicha Paditana Pavanebhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Nama Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pasthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschate Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasti Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Mukham Kroti Vachalam Pangum Layate Grim Yat Kirpata Mandashi Gurundaranam Pramananda Madhuram Shri Chaitanyeshwaram Hari Om Tassat Narayam Namaskritya Naram Cheva Narottamam Devim Saspyatam Tato Jaimuduriyat Nashta Paresham Bhaktireshu Nitya Bhagavad-Sevayā Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhakti Bhakti Neshtaki Hare Krishna. So we are on verse 30, nearly finished chapter 3, and we will, as messaged, we will finish by next Monday, and then we'll have an overview on Wednesday. So let's go on to that. Share this first of all. Okay. So, verse 30. Etad rupam bhagavato hi arupasya chid atmanha maya gune vrichatam mahadabir atmani. Etad, all these rupam forms bhagavataha of the Lord, high, certainly arupasya of one who has no material form, chit atmanha of the transcendence, maya, which is material energy, gunahi by the qualities, virachitam manufactured, mahat adibihi with the ingredients of matter, atmani in the self. So Prabhupada explaining the conception of the Virat universal form of the Lord as appearing in the material world is imaginary. It is to enable the less intelligent and neophytes to adjust to the idea of the Lord's having form. But factually, the Lord has no material form. So a lot of people say, oh, I don't believe in God, but I believe in the cosmos, I believe in material nature. So for people like that, they can have an imaginary Virat Roop or a universal form of the Lord made, of the universe itself, which looks like a form, and imagine that as God. But that's a start. Just like we were saying last time about how people rejected the Vedas and believed and followed Lord Buddha, who was the incarnation of Lord Krishna anyway. So at least the atheists got to, follow God in that way. And here, now we're talking about people who don't believe in God, but they believe in some kind of, supernature, supernatural form, so they can follow the Virat Roop. So everybody has to start somewhere, but main thing is to get on the path of believing in something transcendental, something bigger. In this case, it's not necessarily transcendental, but believing in something which is bigger than yourself, so that there is something that is higher than you, not that we are God, like that. So the conception of the Lord known as the Vishvaroop or Virat Roop is particularly not mentioned along with the various incarnations of the Lord, because all the incarnations of the Lord mentioned above are transcendental, and there is not a tinge of materialism in their bodies. There is no difference between the body and self as there is in the conditioned soul. The Virat Roop is conceived for those who are just neophyte worshippers. For them, the material Virat Roop is presented, and it will be explained in the second canto. So in the Virat Roop, the material manifestations of different planets have been conceived as his legs, hands, etc. Actually, all such descriptions are for neophytes. So there's like 14 planetary systems. So, the lower will be his legs, and then the middle part and the higher planets will be the face, like that. So they're saying, okay, there's 14 planetary system, and God is made up of these planetary systems. Actually, all such descriptions are for neophytes. Neophytes cannot conceive anything beyond matter. The material conception of the Lord is not counted in the list of his factual forms. So as Paramatma or Supersoul, the Lord is within each and every material form, even within the atoms. But the outward material form is but an imagination, both for the Lord and for the living being. The present forms of the conditioned souls are also not factual. The conclusion is that the material conception of the body of the Lord as Virat is imaginary. So we're just imagining that, because God is not material, but we're imagining that material image to be God. Both the Lord and the living beings are living spirits and have original spiritual bodies. So we are spiritual, and we have an outer casing, outer body, which distinguishes us from the animals, which distinguishes from the demigods. But end of the day, we are all spiritual forms. Animals have a soul, we have a soul, the demigods have a soul. We are all jiva tattvas, but just the outer casing, the outer body distinguishes us from these other forms. The demigods have better bodies than us, and they are more empowered by the Lord. The animals have they're a bit duller, the consciousness is not developed. So that's the only difference. Otherwise, the soul is the same in each one of us. And now we talk about the imaginary form. So Srila Prabhupada explains that whereas the incarnations are completely transcendental that we discussed so far, the Virat Roop is imaginary. We're seeing all the planetary system as the Virat Roop. So when we compare the body, our body, to the body of universe, so we can compare it like that. What our body contains. What does the body contain? We got the gross body, we got the soul, and we got the super soul, right? Inside us. And we have a subtle body as well. So we have a gross body, subtle body, soul, and super soul. So in terms of the soul, human have soul. And so if you see the universe as being a body of God, so we see the Lord Brahma's soul of the universe. When he dies, everything is finished. So when the soul leaves the body, everything finished. So after 100 years, when Brahma leaves the universe, the universe is finished. So the Brahma is seen as the soul of the universe. The gross body is the planetary system that we can see with our eyes. The planetary system is the gross body of the Virat Rupa. The soul of the Virat Rupa is seen as the Lord Brahma, and then gross body seen as the planetary systems, which are upper, middle, and lower planetary 14 systems. So we have a super soul. Who is the super soul of the universe? The Garbhodakshay Vishnu is super soul of the universe, and he enters every universe as the super soul of the universe. And the subtle body is the universal form that we imagine that the Virat Roop to be. So now we compare the body, our body, to the universal body. And it's also explained how many times that universal form was revealed in the scriptures. So the Virat Roop of the Lord was especially manifested not for the benefit of Arjuna only. So we now mainly as Arjuna seeing the Virat Roop, but it was revealed many other times as well. So Virat Roop of the Lord was especially manifested not for the benefit of Arjuna, but for that unintelligent class of men who accept anyone and everyone as an incarnation of the Lord, so mislead the general mass of people. So in other words, that if somebody wants to say that if somebody says they are God, then we ask them to reveal their Virat Roop like Krishna did. Right? So can they reveal their Virat Roop like Krishna? So Mother Yashoda saw the Virat Roop twice. When Krishna opened the mouth, you can see all the planetary systems in there. So when baby Krishna once yawned happily, when he opened his mouth, this baby is yawning, and inside is all the planetary systems, can you imagine? And then another time, when a similar incident occurred soon thereafter, when a divine son happened to eat mud, and Mother Yashoda said, show me. He said, I have not eaten mud. And Mother Yashoda said, no, open your mouth and show me, you're lying to me, and prove it. Open your mouth, and now it's there. And when he opens his mouth, there's only not mud, there's unlimited planets. And I think she faints to see that.
I think she saw herself as well.
Saw herself as well. Oh, amazing. So, and other times the Virat Roop was also shown. At the assembly hall of the Kurus, only Bhisham, Drona, Vidur, Sanjay and sages present were able to see this divine manifestation when the Lord showed his Virat Roop. The blind king Dhritarashtra begged to see it and was allowed to see for momentarily see it. So that's mentioned in Mahabharata. And then there's another incident when the Virat Roop was shown. Is mentioned there. This sage Uttanka. After the war at the Kurukshetra, Krishna went to Dwarka, and on the way he met an old friend, sage Uttanka. Krishna or Uttank Krishna already knows what's going to happen, so he's always prepared. Krishna apprised with him of the details of the war. So Krishna stops at the sage's what they call kutia, and he just wants to catch up with him and tell him, oh, we just had a massive war and so many people have died and family destroyed, etc. Now Uttank found it disconcerting that Krishna did not stop the war, so he knows that he could have stopped it. Then why didn't he stop it? Although he could. As the conversation grew more heated, so he went to see a friend and they ended up arguing. Uttank threatened to curse the Lord with his yogic powers, as these sages were very good at that. Very quickly they will just curse somebody and destroy them. But Krishna told him, look, such a curse would be ineffective. I'm God. Your curse is not going to do anything to me. Since as God, he was the source of all mystic powers anyway. Uttank doubted that Krishna, although he knew that Krishna was very smart and he could do anything, he could talk people out of things, could have stopped the war, but he had doubted that he was actually the supreme personality of Godhead. So then Krishna manifested his Virat Roop and showed him. That's mentioned in Mahabharata as well. Krishna showed him his Virat Roop. So because Krishna could see that he's angry he's got a right to be angry. There's so many people destroyed. The sages always want the best for humanity. This is why the sages are doing 1,000 year yajna. So they want the best for humanity. And so Krishna could understand his situation, why he's angry. But, he wanted to show him, look, everything happened according to my plans. And you have to accept it. And then we saw Lord Krishna reveals his uniform as Arjuna's request. And this form was never seen before. Displays uniform in action. So this is the difference. Because before, the universal forms are probably seen as like stagnant, just the planets, things like that. When Mother Yashoda, but here, when Arjuna saw it, it was shown in action. So that's like the Ugra form. So many people dying, going into the mouth of the Virat Rupa, right? Going in the mouth and getting stuck in the teeth, as the descriptions say. So that one is in action, and that is like quite gruesome. And even Arjuna found it difficult to see that form, because that was shown in action of how people are coming and going. And it's happening. We can't see it, but it's happening all the time. People are dying all the time, going into the Virat Rupa, and people are being born as well. So, this cycle, birth, death, old age, disease is taking place all the time. And then other incarnations revealing universe form is Vamandev expanded. So there's different varieties of universal form. Vamandev expanded to the universal form and then reduced himself to the regional Vaman Rupa. So the dwarf Vamandev, he expanded all the way across the universe. And another one from Chaitanya Charitamrita. One day, Advaita Acharya Prabhu requested Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to display the universal form. So if somebody says they're God, then say, okay, can you please display your universal form? And he has very kindly shown Arjuna. So Lord Chaitanya agreed to his proposal. So Lord Chaitanya also showed the universal form. And Srila Prabhupada explains, the Supreme Personality Godhead, in order to bewilder the demons and show that the word of his own devotees and of the Brahmanas is maintained, created a body of material energy into which the arrow by Jared the hunter was shot. Okay, this is something else. We'll leave that, and we'll go on to text 31. Otherwise, it might get confusing. 31. Yatha nabasi mega ugo renu va parthivo anile evam drishtri drishyatvam aropitam abu dibihi. Yatha, as it is, nabasi, in the sky, mega ogha, a mass of clouds, renu, dust, va as well as parthivaha, muddiness, anila in the air, evam, thus drishtari to the siya, drish atvam for the purpose of seeing, aropitam is implied, abuddhabihi by the less intelligent person. So clouds and dust are carried by the air, but less intelligent persons say that the sky is cloudy and the air is dirty. Similarly, they also implant material bodily conceptions on the spirit itself, as we've just discussed. So it is further confirmed herein that with our material eyes and senses we cannot see the Lord, who is all spirit. We cannot even detect the spiritual spark which exists within the material body of the living being. So we can't see the Lord, we can't see our soul. We look to the outward covering of the body or subtle mind of the living being, but we cannot see the spiritual spark within the body. So we have to accept the living being's presence by the presence of his gross body. Similarly, those who want to see the Lord with the present material eyes or with the material senses are advised to meditate on the gigantic external feature called the Virat Rup. So if you want to see the Lord with your material eyes, then you can only see him as the material form, which is the Virat Rup. For instance, when a particular gentleman goes in his car, which can be seen very easily, we identify the car with the man within the car. Or we say, oh, so-and-so just left, just gone. Or we see them on the road, or just seen, that person, because you see in the car. When the president goes out in his particular car, we say, oh, there is the president. For the time being, we identify the car with the president. So until the president comes out the car and presents himself, we see the car as the president. Similarly, less intelligent men who want to see God immediately without necessary qualification are shown first the gigantic material cosmos as the form of the Lord. Although the Lord is within and without. The clouds in the sky and the blue of the sky are better appreciated in this connection. Although the bluish tint of the sky and the sky itself are different, we conceive of the color of the sky as blue, but that is general conception for the layman only. So God is here. So although the Lord is within and without, so He is within as the super soul, is inside us, and as the Brahman or His energies, He is without, outside. He is His energies, and also the impersonal Brahman is everywhere, like that, and is within as the super soul. So God is everywhere, is within us, and is outside us in different features. So Srila Prabhupada explains that those who don't want to apply a process and see God through devotional service and purification can be shown God as the Arsha Vigraha form or the Virat Rup. So if you totally don't believe in God, you believe in the cosmos, then you can see God as the Virat Rup. So we say material nature is God. If you believe in God, but you're not really purified, or you're not doing devotion service, you're not like a devotee just yet, then you can see God in the Archa Vigraha or the Murti, deity of the Lord. That's why the deity is there, so we can see the deity with our material eyes, because we cannot see the spiritual form of the Lord, so we see His material form. And it's the same thing, same potency. We can speak to the deity. Okay, so 32. Athaparam yad avyaktam avyudha gun brahmitam adrishta ashurta vastu tvat sajivo yad puna bhava Atha, this param beyond yat which avyaktam, unmanifested, avyuda, without formal shape, guna brahmitam, affected by the qualities, adrishta, unseen, ashruta, unheard, vastu, tvat, being like that, saha, that, jiva, living being, yat, that which, puna bhava, takes birth repeatedly. So beyond this gross conception of form is another subtle conception of form which is without formal shape and is unseen, unheard, and unmanifest. The living being has his form beyond this subtlety, otherwise he could not have repeated births. So Srila Prabhupada explains, so as the gross cosmic manifestation is conceived as a gigantic body of the Lord, so also there is the conception of his subtle form. Now what is this? Which is simply realized without being seen, heard, or manifested. But in fact, all these gross or subtle conceptions of body are in relation with the living beings. The living being has his spiritual form beyond this gross material or subtle psychic existence. The gross body and the psychic functions cease to act as soon as living being leaves the visible gross body. In fact, we say that the living being has gone away because he is unseen and unheard with our material senses. Even when the gross body is not acting, when the living is in sound sleep, we know that he is within the body by his breathing or probably snoring in most cases. So the living beings passing away from the body does not mean that there is no existence of the living soul. It is there. Otherwise, how can he repeat his births again and again? So something is living, in other words, something is living that continues on to the next body. The conclusion is that the Lord is eternally existent in his transcendental form, which is neither gross nor subtle, like that of the living being. His body is never to be compared to the gross and subtle bodies of the living being. All such conceptions of God's body are imaginary. The living being has his eternal spiritual form, which is conditioned only by his material contamination. So we are given, in the material world, we are given a gross and subtle body. Gross body dies, we are either cremated or buried. The subtle body continues with the soul and with the intelligence and mind and ego, like that. That continues to go on to the next body, right? Takes shape of the next body. But this thing we cannot say about Krishna, about God, that he has a gross body, he has a subtle body. Krishna always has a spiritual body, and we also have a spiritual body. But to get the spiritual body, we have to shed the gross body and the subtle body, and that can only happen when we have completely detached ourselves from the material conception, and we're ready to go back home to Godhead. Then we leave the gross body and the subtle body here, and then we go back home with the spiritual body. So Prabhupada says there is the gross universal form and the subtle universal form, which we discussed. But that's just imaginary forms of the Lord. They don't actually exist. They're not the Lord, basically. That's just material. And finally, 33. Yatre me sad sadrupe pratiside sva samvida avidyayatmani krite iti tad brahma darshanam. So yatra, whenever ime, in all these, sat, asat, gross and subtle, rupe, in the forms of, pratiside, on being nullified, swa samvida, by self-realization,
avidyaya, by ignorance, atmani, in the self, krite, having been imposed, iti, thus, that is Brahma Darshanam, the process of seeing the Absolute. So whenever a person experiences by self-realization that both the gross and subtle bodies have nothing to do with the pure self, at that time he sees himself as well as the Lord. So when you are no longer connected to the material conception, then you see that you are a spirit soul and you will see the Lord as well. So the difference between self-realization and material illusion is to know that the temporary or illusory impositions of material energy in the shape of gross and subtle bodies are superficial coverings of the self. So that's when you realize that you're a spirit soul. The coverings take place due to ignorance. When we think we are this body, we are this subtle body, means the mind, that we are this mind. Such coverings are never effective in the person of the personality of Godhead. Knowing this convincingly is called liberation, or seeing the Absolute. This means that perfect self-realization is made possible by adoption of godly or spiritual life. Self-realization means becoming indifferent to the needs of the gross and subtle bodies and becoming serious about the activities of the self. The impetus for the activities is generated from the self, but such activities become illusory due to ignorance of the real position of the self. By ignorance, self-interest is calculated in terms of the gross and subtle bodies, which we do. We spend all our mental energy or physical energy on our gross and subtle bodies. But most people don't think about ourselves as the spirit soul and don't do much for the soul, like we are now doing. But most people are just concerned about, I need to do this for my body, I need to do this for my mind. Yes, you do need, of course, to look after, but don't neglect the soul as well. And therefore, a whole set of activities spoiled, life after life. When, however, one meets the self by proper culture, the activities of the self means the soul, begin. Therefore, a man who is engaged in the activities of the self is called Jivan Mukta, or a liberated person, even in the conditional existence. This perfect state of self-realization is attained not by artificial means, but under the lotus feet of the Lord, who is always transcendental. In the Bhagavad-Gita, the Lord says that He is present in everyone's heart, and from Him only all knowledge members, all forgetfulness takes place. So in this 15 verse, chapter 15 verse 15, when the living being desires to be an enjoyer of material energy or illusory phenomena, the Lord covers the living being in the mystery of forgetfulness, and thus the living being misinterprets the gross body and subtle body to be his own self, and by culture of transcendental knowledge, when the living being prays to the Lord for deliverance for the clutches of forgetfulness, the Lord, by His causeless mercy, removes the living being's illusory curtain, and thus he realizes his own self. He then engages himself in the service of the Lord in his eternal constitutional position, becoming liberated from the conditioned life. All this is executed by the Lord, either through His external potency or directly by the internal potency. Amazing. So this reminds me of there's something very popular called escape rooms. So basically we are imprisoned within this room of the universe, like a room, and we need to escape, but we don't know how to escape it. But in an escape room, this concept is like a game. It's very popular, and so like there's clues everywhere. You just have to find the clues and work them out, what the clues are saying. So basically, we are in that kind of situation that we are in this escape room, but we don't know how to get out, and we're looking for clues. And only the spiritual master can give us guidance, the clues The clues are basically the scriptures, but we can't understand them. But the spiritual master can explain to us, look, this is how you get out of this place. So, we are in an escape room and we need to escape as soon as possible. So, just see what the Prabhupada mentions, anything on this. He says, as long as we are focusing on our gross and subtle bodies only and its interaction with relationships, to experience our true spiritual nature, we need to move on the path so that we are detaching ourselves from the gross and subtle bodies. So basically, we are focusing on the spiritual. We do only such as much is required to sustain the body so that we can practice our Krishna consciousness. I'm saying, yes, we do need to look after our body, we do need to look after our mental health, but just enough, not become, day in, day out, just body, building big muscles, or doing, so much for the mind as well. Do enough, that as much as necessary. Not over endeavor for sense gratification or exploitation. These activities increase the bodily conception of life, so it just bonds us more. The more we think about the body or the mind, then the more we get attached to this body and mind, and attached to the material energy. So when we see the mirror, when we look in the mirror, Srila Prabhupada explains that we should understand that I got this material body and it's given for an important purpose for Krishna consciousness. Now, how many of us do that? When we look in the mirror, we're looking at ourselves. How do I look? Is this okay? Is that okay? We are looking at our features more than anything else. Admiring ourselves. And so Srila Prabhupada says that there should be a reminder that I'm given this body, this human body, for an important process for Krishna consciousness. Every time we look in the mirror, remind ourselves, you are here for Krishna consciousness. Not look how great and beautiful I look. And so Krishna is within the Gopas. And another thing explained here, I don't know if it's relevant to this, what we're discussing, but I guess we could say on the material platform, how in the temple, the Matajis and the Prabhus are segregated. And it's explained here that Krishna is with the Gopas in the daytime and then Gopis in the evenings. So he did not allow them to mix. Just like in the temple, we also separate the Matajis in one side and the Prabhus on one side. Krishna would segregate the Prabhus and the Matajis, meet the Matajis in the evening, Prabhus in the daytime, kept them apart, because material energy is very, very strong. So thank you so much. Love to hear from you all. Hare Krishna. Stop sharing. And let's see. Hari Hari Bol. Yes, we'll start with Hina Mataji. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Krishna Prabhuji, thank you so much. Hare Krishna, everyone. Please accept my humble obeisances. Oh, glories to Srila Prabhupada. Some very nice verses covered here. Particularly like the references. Just that the whole topic of the Virat group is quite interesting for me. I think from how I've understood it, from the Gita anyway, the reason why the Virat Rup was shown to Arjuna in the first place was to convince the impersonalists, to show, if I understood this right, that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And I think as the verse 30 reference, that this is a material manifestation of the Lord. And the way that I understand that is that it's not his permanent form. It's not his eternal form. His eternal form, as I've understood, is he's got two hands and he plays the flute. That's different from the Virat Rup, which is basically like a demonstration of of his material powers and material forms. But please correct me if I'm wrong, Prabhuji. And then for me, the other takeaway was the text 32-33 around self-realization, So, which is very nice about how, for me, this is about, due to the mercy of Krishna and the devotees, one wakes up almost one, I like your analogy of the escape room as well. This is about realizing that actually and remembering that, we are spirit souls. We're servants of the Lord. We almost like need to get out of the environment that we're in. This isn't our permanent home. And actually, when we do wake up, we realize that's our real position, our real, I think, Srila Prabhupada calls it constitutional position, is that we are servants of the Lord. That's what we actually are. So yeah, thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, I mean, the Virat Rupa is this Krishna's material energy, and we can imagine it as the cosmos itself as the Lord, but it's still all material energy, and Krishna himself actually spiritual. That's his reality. The material energy can be seen as the Lord for people, who don't actually believe in God as a person, as you mentioned. So yeah, so material energy is seen as God. Thank you, Mataji. Praveen Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you for the class. Yeah, Virat Rupa, it certainly did help me as well in the beginning because I was struggling how to move on from Devi Devtas. So then it did help. So I had to look at the Virat Rupa again and again, convince myself, yes, everybody is in there. So it is very good. And like Mataji said, for me also, self-realization is the main thing. It is the activity of the self. But we are all like so engrossed looking after our mind, body, and we're not thinking of the soul. But thank you to you, you're giving us the food for soul. And this is the real, taking care of the body. Yes, it is important to look after our body and mind so we can carry on in the activities of the Lord. And so we don't have to become the killer of the souls. Like, I think it is in Isupnishad, I can't remember the word, Atmahana or something, it says, and yeah, that is the main thing. We just have to, like this morning also we read chanting. It was talking about Jagai and Madai and Sanatan Goswami and Rupa Goswami, how they were saying to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that they are the lowest of the lowest in the three world. It was showing their humility, and they were saying even Jagai and Madai are better than them, even if they are mockingly saying your name. So, importance of chanting and devotional service. These are the two only saviors. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you. And reading Bhagavatam, obviously. Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mataji. Yes, it's a simple process really, but because the mind is everything's like connected to the material energy, we do find it difficult, and because all day long we are interacting with material energy, with people, with work, everything. It's difficult to think about spirituality, but this is why we start in the morning, make our conscious more spiritual, and have spirituality in the background, and continue a day, with that thought. Is very important. Thank you for it. Sresh Prabhu, I don't know if you are able to talk right now. Just checking. It's okay if you're not. That's fine. You can listen. No problem. Okay, it's fine. Radharani?
Hare Krishna, everyone. It's amazing how Krishna is taking us slowly to the most important layer. Like, when you boil the milk, well, nowadays we get pasteurized milk anyway, but if you can get hold of the raw milk, and when you boil it and you leave it there, you see a layer of cream forming on it. And the longer you leave it, now we all have fridges in the home, the past few hundred years. So when you leave it in the fridge, that skin becomes, the cream becomes more thicker and thicker, and the more purer the milk you have got from the dairy, the more thick the cream will be. So exactly I was thinking is the potency of devotional service. The more and more we practice, the more and more we understand the depths of the devotional service, the nuances as given by Srila Prabhupada in his purports, everything becomes clear and clear. But the only problem is that we have to repeat it. If we leave it for some time in the back burner, what happens is we forget, and our minds are such entities that they will say to us, leave that. It's more fun, doing whatever I'm saying. I'm in the sense what mind is dictating to us. Do this, do that, enjoy yourself. Don't follow the discipline, don't follow the regulations. This is what happens when sometimes you go on a karmi kind of rendezvous with your some karmi friends, or you just get some devotees get together and they say, okay, we'll have a break. And I've seen the problem with the mind is, no matter the small, a very small break, that is like a hindrance to our mind. Now that depends also on a person. If the person's sadhana is strong, they can just jump back from the enjoyment kind of stage to back to the regulative stage. But for most, especially I'm telling you, for the women will find hard. Prabhupada reminds us that when he says women are less intelligent, doesn't mean that women are less intelligent. What he's trying to say, the way the bodies are given to the women, the woman's body, like they say in Karmi world, fairer sex, means that we are a little bit weaker body-wise. Mind-wise, we are strong. We are strong because women bring the new progeny to the world, so they are strong in that sense. But somehow material energy has got strong hold on women. So women have to look after their bhakti more. This is what has been my understanding so far. I've seen some women in the past, heard from them, they get annoyed at Srila Prabhupada. Why does Srila Prabhupada says that women are less intelligent? You have to, uncover the layers, try to understand what Srila Prabhupada is saying. And then another thing Srila Prabhupada always says, simple living, high thinking. Why simple living, high thinking? Simple living, high thinking will keep us grounded to the purpose of today's verses, that when we look into the mirror, we don't think that, oh, this is me, beautiful me. I think everybody thinks that they are the most beautiful person on this earth. This is how Krishna, the Maya, Krishna has designed Maya to act on our brains. I think everyone thinks that they are Mr. Universe, and everyone thinks that they are Mrs. or Miss Universe. So this is the problem. So if you have read these purports in Srila Prabhupada's Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam's purports, then you will realize that you are not these bodies, you are the souls, we are the self. In Karmi world, if you say self, person will think self means my body. But as devotees, we understand this is false ego. The real ego is our spiritual soul. And it took me quite some time, I'm telling you, to understand this properly. I used to read this false ego, this, and I never used to able to uncover the layers, what Prabhupada is actually trying to tell us. But now I understand so nicely that, especially now when we just read about this, that when we look in our mirrors, ourselves in the mirror, remind ourselves of the real journey. We are not how we were born. If you look at the old albums, if you've got your childhood pictures, then you've got your adolescence, teenage pictures, or when you were in your 20s, 30s, and how everything changes. And it's going to change more and more. If you're going to live longer, the more you're going to change. So you shouldn't feel bad that, oh, I'm looking bad, I'm looking all saggy and looking old. No, you should be proud that you have spent so many years on this earth, but proud in the sense that you have read Bhagavatam so many times. You've heard Srila Prabhupada's classes so many times, if you are following Srila Prabhupada, or you have slowly understood what is the work which I left undone in the past lives. I've been blessed by this human form to finish off the tasks which I left in last lives. So instead of feeling sorry for our bodies, if our body is troubling, just look after it enough to be functioning for your purpose, for the devotional service, for looking after the family, looking after your livelihood, your jobs and professions. But the main purpose hasn't to be forgotten. And like all our Shiksha Gurus and Diksha Gurus, they tell us, spend some time with Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, which is Krishna himself. The book Bhagavata is also Bhagavata, and the person who is giving you class is also Bhagavata. The energy in that person is also coming from Krishna. So spend some time, and then chanting, of course. And the third thing we have to do is follow our Guru's orders. Guru is the one who connects us to Gauranga, to Lord. And whenever you get a chance, spend some time in the dhams, travel to the dhams. If you can't, just think of the pastimes of the dham. Think of the deities of the dham. That will be also like a mansik yatra, like gopis always did. They were not always with Krishna, but they would just mentally, spend the time with that, meditate on that. And like your mother Yashoda, everything she was doing for Krishna, she had a little pastime, a katha going on in her mind. She was singing that katha. So that should be our kirtan. So best thing what we have to do is devote our times as devotees for the devotional service to the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, and thank you all for joining. And we'll continue on Wednesday, and let's take it from there. So thank you so much. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Go Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Suresh Prabhu, did you want to say something?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I just pulled up, sorry. Yes, it was really nice. Like, I missed the first part of the lesson, but whatever I heard, yes, it tells me that, we got layers and layers, all the bad layers, and we need to get rid of them, and need to pray more, need to listen to the prayers, listen to people who like teaching you like what to do. Like, especially in my life, I learned a lot from you. Especially like you told me how to chant as well. So I'm following every steps, like whatever you guide in. And yes, I have to listen to Bhagavad-Gita more, read more, and yeah, take the layers off.
Amazing. Sorry, carry on.
Yes, that's it. Hare Krishna. I mean, I'm not in it, like, I can't tell much because I'm still learning. So yes.
Yes. So basically, the first thing we just have to keep reminding ourselves, because although we know it, but we forget. We just have to remind ourselves that this body is just a covering given to me. I have had a different kind of body before, and if I don't do anything about it, I will have a different body in my next life. So I am the person inside this body. That's me inside this body. I'm trapped. This is also escape room. I'm trapped inside this body. I'm trapped inside this universe, and I, the self, which is me as the spiritual soul, need to go back to my spiritual planet. That's my real home. That's where I should be. I'm stuck here, and here there's only a lot of pain. There is a lot of pain, but in Vaikuntha there is no pain or any problems like that. And it's total bliss, because that's what a body is about. Sat Chit Ananda. It's eternal, full of knowledge and full of bliss. And that's our constitutional position as well as servant of the Lord. That we are also always blissful, but material energy attacks. We are here in the prison, and the warden's he's not gonna leave us happily. If he sees us smiling, he'll come and say, what are you laughing at? Why are you so happy in here? You are in prison. You will make sure that you're not in a happy place all the time. So we are here, and we have fighting material energy. But if you're going to fight material energy, fight it for the right reason. Fight it to go back home, and then material energy will actually respect you for that. So yeah, just always remember we are spiritual soul and work with that. So thank you so much for joining.
And this form is the only form where this is
so
possible.
Human form is the only form. So let's not miss the opportunity. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you, Mataji's. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki
Hare Krishna.
jai.
Hare Krishna, thank you.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.